Hey y'all, so today I wanted to talk about the book 1984 by George Orwell because I recently finished reading it and I really enjoyed it first of all, and it has a lot of really interesting topics that it brings up throughout the book. And the main one that really has stuck with me and I've been thinking about is whether there is such a thing as objective reality or truth. And if you haven't read the book, basically it's in 1984 and it's following like this one guy, he's a regular citizen, it's in a dystopian world, and there's the party which rules over all of the citizens and kind of controls their reality. And there's a couple of ways that they sort of do that. It shows itself how reality can be altered through the way that people accept the lies that the party presents as truth. And this quote is talking about that, so I'm going to read that real quick. "And if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth. Who controls the past, ran the party slogan, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past." So one of the ways that they're sort of creating this new reality is by controlling all of the information and all of the things that these people have access to. One of the other ways that the party sort of controls, their people and creates this sort of new reality is through their language that they're creating called newspeak. And it hasn't been established completely, but it's slowly taking over, and newspeak is becoming the official language. Basically, newspeak is the English language simplified. They're taking out a ton of words from the English language and just reducing it so that each word only has a very specific and well-defined meaning with no room for interpretation. And as I was reading, the book and stuff and reading about newspeak, it really struck me, this may seem kind of obvious, but it really struck me that the bigger vocabulary you have, the easier it is to express yourself and to describe things. And if you're better able to express yourself to other people, you're going to have better relationships because of communication. Vocabulary really can, it affects your life so much. And so it's important to be learning new things and be better able to express yourself. And this really shows itself in younger kids, because as I've been working this past week with the kids, one of the teachers told me sometimes kids that are acting out, one of the reasons could be because they don't know how to express themselves. They don't have the right words to explain what they're feeling inside. Like, they may be angry, but they don't know that that feeling is called anger. So they will act out, throw things, whatever, because they don't know how to say what's going on inside. And there's a section in the book that sort of touches on that topic, so I just want to read that really quick. The person that the main character is talking about is this girl that he's involved with. Talking to her, he realized how easy it was to present an appearance of orthodoxy while having no grasp whatever of what orthodoxy meant. In a way, the worldview of the party imposed itself most successfully on people incapable of understanding it. They could be made to accept the most flagrant violations of reality because they never fully grasped the enormity of what was demanded of them and were not sufficiently interested in public events to notice what was happening. By lack of understanding, they remained sane. They simply swallowed everything, and what they swallowed did them no harm because it left no residue behind, just as a grain of corn will pass undigested through the body of a bird. By continuing to reduce the information and understanding of the general public in the book, they sort of kind of eliminate even the possibility of revolt. There's a section in the book that talks about that. It says, "The masses never revolt of their own accord, and they never revolt merely because they are oppressed. Indeed, so long as they are not permitted to have standards of comparison, they never even become aware that they are oppressed." And that sort of reminds me of, when I talked about in the Weekly Thoughts video about a comfortable prison cell, if all you've known is this terrible reality and you have nothing to compare it to, then, it won't seem so terrible or whatever because you don't know that it could be better. It's like when you're in that dark cave and all you've ever known is the darkness. And it's going to be so much better to be out in the light, but you've never been out there. So you've nothing to compare the darkness to. You don't think it's dark in there because you've never been in the light. You may be quote unquote happier in the dark, not knowing that you are imprisoned. But personally, I would much rather be in the light, being able to see my chains. It's so, I guess everyone's their own person and stuff like that, but it's something interesting to think about, that your reality is shaped so much by your surroundings and the things that other people say, all the messages that you're getting, all of these things. Like, all of these topics in this book can relate to certain aspects of your life or wherever you are in the world and things like that. And I want to end on a couple of things. First, I want to read a little paragraph that one of the characters is telling the main character, talking about the party and, reality and things like that. And it just really gets you to think. So I'm going to read that real quick. You believe that reality is something objective, external, existing in its own right. You also believe that the nature of reality is self-evident. When you delude yourself into thinking that you see something, you assume that everyone else sees the same thing as you. But I tell you, Winston, that reality is not external. Reality exists in the human mind and nowhere else. Not in the individual mind, which can make mistakes, and in any case soon perishes, only in the mind of the party, which is collective and immortal. Whatever the party holds to be true is truth. It is impossible to see reality except by looking through the eyes of the party. That is the fact that you have got to relearn, Winston. It needs an act of self-destruction and effort of the will. You must humble yourself before you can become sane. There's so much we can learn. There's so much knowledge and what the fuck?